submissions form in the description box of every Cozy Club episode, and I ask you to send in your life questions or spill the tea, and it's been a while since I've answered them, so it's time. I'm gonna go through them. I'm going to give life advice when I can, and I hope I can do these questions justice. Know that everything I'm saying is just coming from the context of the question. I do not know anyone personally. It's anonymous. I have no context. It's your life. So take what I say with a grain of salt. You know yourself best. And let's get into it. We have quite a few questions to get through. I have my laptop in front of me right here, and I'm going to take a look. There might be a couple that I have already answered, or in the episode with Luke, I don't really remember which ones I have or haven't answered. I try to keep it organized, but I kind of forgot. So, first question. Can you talk about not feeling like you are doing enough? I don't know if you struggle with that too, but for example, if I have a free day, instead of resting, I feel like I have to do something. I hate it because I'm still in school and just end up burnt out and tired. This question was sent quite a while ago, so apologies for the late response. This is definitely something that I can talk about and that I do struggle with as well. I personally quite often feel like, oh, I have to do something when I have time off, and since I work for myself and I'm my own boss, it's very easy to feel like I just have to work and keep working. There is no harsh line between work and private, so if I have the weekend off, I could still end up editing in bed if I'm like, oh, but I'm in the mood now, so I'll just edit because I'm not doing anything else. And that kind of comes from a feeling of I have to do something and be productive. I think that the constant need for productivity can come from many different things, but the first one, I'm gonna blame capitalism. We get bombarded by being productive and doing things and delivering and having results for everything. So it's very easy to feel like you have to, and to feel some sort of pressure in having to. I think that that's a very broad issue. I think it could also be the idea of not wanting to sit with your own thoughts and be in stillness. It's starting to rain. I hope that will be cozy and not too loud. But it's very easy to distract yourself instead of dealing with an emotion, and it can be a very default thought to have. If there is stillness, to go do something because I have to do something. So learning where that urge is coming from for me has been really helpful, and I can discern much better if it's an external or societal pressure that I'm feeling, or if I'm just being really strict with myself, because I'm definitely my own worst critic. So sometimes that critic comes out and perfectionism comes out, and it's like, if you just work a little bit harder, or oh, you have to perform for the algorithm, you have to post XYZ amount of videos, so you have to prep, and all the time that I'm wasting doing nothing, I'm losing money opportunities or growth opportunities, or oh, I don't want this enough. Like, I can get really strict, and it's really a practice to notice it when it's happening and to act against it. At the end of the day, it's really shitty when you feel like you keep having to do things and feel like you have to be productive, but the art isn't the non-doing. So forcing yourself to not do the thing, even though you feel like, I really have to do this thing, stay here. Don't do it purposefully, not do it. That's the only advice I can give. It's something that I definitely also struggle with. But it's important to check yourself this because you feel like you have to, and you feel guilty for having a day off. You just have to force yourself to not do certain things. Like, you have to experiment with changing your behavior, otherwise it's just going to stay the same, and that helps no one. Rest is very productive, and sometimes the most productive and efficient thing that you can do for your mind, your body, your soul. So take that into account next time, and find people online, like influencers, if you will, or people who inspire you, who have those same values, so you get a bit less confronted with, I have to do all these things and be productive, and have more people in your digital space and your offline space who have that relaxed view as well. I think that that can really help. Okay, so that was the first question. Thank you for sending it. Next is tips on forgiveness, especially people who have hurt you personally. My biggest tip for forgiveness is don't force it. If people have personally hurt you, you do not owe them your forgiveness whatsoever. I like the idea of being able to forgive people, and I want to forgive people. I'm not someone who holds grudges a lot, and semi-recently, I had a situation where I could not forgive someone for something, and I really wanted to, but I couldn't. And the moment that I stopped trying to is when it slowly started to happen. This is one of those things, like when people have hurt you personally, those wounds need to heal and they need time. So don't force yourself to forgive someone if you're not there yet. If you still feel a bitterness or resentment or hurt or pain, sit in that pain and let that be there. And just let the time do its thing as well. Give it the time to heal. It would probably help a lot more than actively trying to forgive someone. For me personally, it doesn't help to force that, because that means I had a situation where I was very hurt by someone and I wanted to forgive them, but every time that I tried, I would kind of cross my own boundaries again. So if someone had said something and I was trying to dissect that in my head and see like, oh, how can I forgive them? Well, they're on their own path and they're dealing with their things, but I'm still hurt, and I still completely, entirely, to my core disagree that it's okay to have treated me that way and to have responded to me in that way. I would have never done that to you. I cannot forgive that yet. I see that I can forgive you at some point, which is already a big step if you can see that, or if you want that. But don't, it would be a disservice to your own emotions and your own experience to force it, because I think if you prematurely try to forgive, you're going to compromise. I think. That's kind of my take. It takes time, and I really don't like the feeling of I'm holding a grudge, or I haven't forgiven someone. But I've also realized over the past couple months that it is very much okay to not be okay with something, and to let that feeling linger. And, you don't owe anybody your forgiveness. I think if they've really hurt you, and you know in your heart out that it was wrong, like, everyone deals with their emotions differently, everyone receives things differently. So if you know that you're someone who kind of holds a about it, because it can be you not forgiving someone for not showing up to a party, or it could be not forgiving someone for cheating, and everything in between and outside of that. So I hope that this resonated for some of your situation, maybe, and if it didn't, just drop me a comment and we'll chat about it if you want to, but that's my take. Don't force yourself. It would be nice to talk about slow living and the fact that if you are a woman who doesn't have children, it's very hard to work part-time or ask for reduced hours. My friends all talk about having to wait until after maternity leave to work less hours because it will be accommodated when they have a child. What about people who can't or don't want to have children, and how do we move forward as a society to let people work the hours they want to work? Girl, that's a huge question. Who do you think I am? I like the concept of the question. I cannot talk about maternity or motherhood, raising children whatsoever, so I won't. Simply for the fact that I do not have children, and I'm very much not at that stage, so I am in no place to talk about it, so I won't. What I can talk about is wanting to live more slowly, and how to kind of find a way to work the hours that you want to work in order to live more slowly. It's a huge question, though. I'm not going to get into it too deeply because I feel like it's a lot to unpack. I think it's important to define what slow living means for you. It's as simple as that. It can mean so many different things to so many different people. For some people, it's living more offline. For some people, it's living more sustainably and self-sufficient. For some people, it's just working less. And everything, it's very unfortunate, but it is the reality that a lot of it is dependent on your financial situation and financial freedom that you have, like space to move around, if you know what I mean. If you have bills to pay, if you have a house to keep up with, and the way that you are spending your money requires you to have a full-time job, you're going to have to keep that full-time job or really look at your spending and cut down, maybe move somewhere smaller. There are, I don't know how else to talk about this, but there would be consequences to making the choice to live slowly, and it's a lifestyle change, and that can look many different ways. But with our economy right now, I'm 25, I'm living with my parents, and I'm having the hardest time finding something as a solo person, as someone who works for themselves, which will immediately just make it harder, and to find something that is affordable without having to work many more hours because of my health. I think this is a very difficult topic, and I can feel very stuck in that sometimes, and how am I ever going to do this without having to, completely change other things in my life? Steps that you can take is look at your spending and look at the hours that you're working and at the goals that you have, so you can see where it is you want to go and defining what slow life means to you. Because I think that even though you are working many hours, you can still live a pretty slow life. It also fully depends on the job that you have, what it requires of you, your relationship to the job, the distance to the job, as in the commute, the hours, the environment, the co-workers. I think I'm lacking too much context to properly answer the question and to give it the time and space it deserves. But I would say start by defining slow living. See what your relationship is to your job, what it is that you want, where you want to go, and see if there are things that you can already do to live more slowly without even touching on your job, unless it's a huge factor for you and it's the main thing that's causing you to be stressed, or that brought up this desire to live more slowly. Maybe it even helps to step away from social media more, or to watch less YouTube videos and just sit with yourself, go on more nature walks. Like, slow living can be so many things. I hope that that helped. It's a very fast-paced life that is talked about most and that is lived most. I do not think that it is the healthiest lifestyle for me personally. It wasn't. I wouldn't have fallen into a clinical burnout if it was sustainable for me. So I'm really rooting for you in that you find the lifestyle that suits you. I'm still figuring out so much, so we're all in this together. I have to say, I'm not going to be able to answer every question because some of you, and I really appreciate your openness, but have sent such heavy questions that I just simply cannot answer because I'm a person on the internet. And please just reach out to people in your personal life if you need help. It's so okay to need help, and it's a big step and a scary step maybe, and I know that it is, but it's such a brave and wonderful thing to do, to reach out. So just letting you know, if I'm missing your question, if you've sent a heavy question, I might not answer it, just because I'm just on your screen, and that makes me feel weird if I'm going to answer such personal things. Okay, the next question is about the fear of being alone, just being on your own. I have a huge problem being alone without feeling lonely, and I think there is a huge difference between alone and feeling lonely. Even in the company of other people, my family, friends, or at university, I don't know what I can do about this feeling, but it stops me from enjoying life without its inner gray or sad feelings. I value your videos and you as a person, even though we don't know each other. You speak from the heart so often. I look forward to the calming moment that I get when you upload. Thank you. That's very sweet. And I'm sorry it took so long to answer this question. Damn it. Being alone versus feeling lonely, I agree, are two very different things. And loneliness is just a devastating feeling to have and a hard emotion to cope with. And I'm just really sorry to hear that you're feeling that way and that you're struggling with that. And I hope that since the time has passed since asking this question, you are feeling a little bit better, that you're in a good flow. If your question is advice on what to do with the feeling of being alone and feeling lonely, I find it hard to talk about because loneliness is something that I struggled with a lot, especially in my burnout, because I felt very alone in my experience, and I suddenly felt this huge gap between me and my friends and the way that I was living my life, the way that I wanted to live my life versus the way that my friends did, and the way that they wanted to, I guess. And I suddenly felt very lonely in that, and like I was so weird for experiencing all of this, and I felt very lost. I'm someone who has a lot of hobbies, and even during that time I couldn't get myself to any of those hobbies. If I made music, I would just cry. If I were to read, I would cry. And at the end of the day, I think that that was really necessary to still show up and do those things, because they do help me work through emotions. So music ended up bringing me a lot of emotional release as well, and all that crying and grieving was exactly what I needed to do, because my life kind of switched around, and I lived in the city and I had to move back home, so I left the city, but not purely by choice. And I had this view of what my year would look like, and it didn't look like that, and so I was grieving a lot. What I felt later was feeling alone and lonely because I was away from everyone, and then still when I was with everyone, I would feel this loneliness, or when I would leave, I would burst into tears. But it had a lot to do with my feeling of confidence and self-worth. I think I was very fragile at the time, and so everything felt like such a huge step. So like, this might not relate to your situation at all. It's just the only proper full experience I have with loneliness, other than being abroad and not knowing anyone. But I think that those are more straightforward, experiences where if you don't know anyone in the area you live in, it kind of makes sense that it can get lonely and seeking community is important. But if you are having a social life and you still feel lonely, and then when you're alone, you feel lonely, being kind to yourself and really mindfully spending time with yourself, I think is really powerful. That has really helped me. So for me, meditation was very important, and doing yoga and going into nature, things that were really fulfilling for me and required my presence, where I didn't have to be in my head all the time. So I hope that you have things that bring you joy and that bring you relief from those feelings of loneliness. I personally found living alone really difficult when I wasn't leaving my house a lot, because I didn't have social interaction. That made me lonely. I didn't have the energy to have my creative outlets. That made me feel lonely because I couldn't express myself. And self-expression, I think, can also really, really help. So dancing in your room, letting all the emotions out. Physical activity releases so many endorphins, so getting into movement, actively prioritizing self-care, giving yourself a focus, I think can really help. And if it's something that you perpetually struggle with and that doesn't get better no matter what you try, please reach out to a professional to help you with this and to talk through about this. They can offer you so much guidance and wisdom and help. It's very tough to deal with, and I'm so sorry you're experiencing this, and I'm rooting for you, and I hope that you have things that bring you relief from that. Just know that you are good enough as you are. You deserve all the love and attention and care, and yeah, thinking of you. I'm also kind of skipping a couple questions where I feel like I've answered it, but that have very similar vibes. So someone had a question about a gap year and feeling like your life is kind of on hold. I feel like I've made a lot of videos in the past where I talk about that topic, and where I talk about feeling lost, and I don't know, I feel like I've talked about that topic in general so much throughout my videos that, yeah, I don't really know what to say about it right now. Next one is on love and sexuality. First of all, I'm very grateful for the cozy club and space you've created online. It's not really that I need advice, but rather that I need to get my thoughts out of my head. Okay, let's go. I'm a 21-year-old demisexual woman, and I've been in one serious relationship so far in which I hadn't come to terms with my sexuality yet, but we were starting to notice certain patterns in myself. Now, that relationship ended 1.5 years ago due to us having very different goals and aspirations in life. We're still in the same friend group, which sometimes can still be awkward, but that's besides the point. I've taken a lot of time since the breakup to really come to terms with where I stand with myself, and now that I've found labels that I feel comfortable with, while I know labels aren't necessary, I find them really valuable for myself. I'd like to put myself out there again. Exciting. I'm studying in a predominantly female field, and I don't really know where to meet new people, so I set up a Bumble profile. How do people navigate dating apps and dating in general? This is so surface level to me, swiping left and right, and then if it matches, not even getting a reply in most cases, makes it really hard for me once you've sent this video, I've definitely made videos about this, but I don't like our modern dating culture. I don't find myself fitting in that world of casual hookups, situationships. There is just this general vibe, I feel like, of don't show interest. I feel like meeting someone who can meet you where you're at and you can meet them where they're at, it's always going to be a unique experience, and it's not something that happens all the time. I feel like dating apps make it look like you can collect people like Pokemon cards and connections, and I feel like that is horrible. So the way that I personally use the apps is that sometimes I swipe. For long periods I don't. I'm also more of a slow burn type of woman, so I get where you're coming from. I feel like meeting new people, we have to get back to setting friends up with friends. Friends of friends. What's happening? Why are we not real life matchmaking anymore? What's going on, you know? So, ask your friends to set you up. Have you tried that? Could be scary, but could be fun. And because it's going through friends, they're kind of already sort of approved, you know? So, I would recommend trying that. And, I don't know, finding like-minded people is, of course, the most amazing thing. So going to events or to places where people come together who likely share the same values as you could be a really great experience. Other than that, bestie, I don't know. I feel like I've already talked about this so much as well that I'm fully out of other tips and advice to give on where to meet people. But if you want it in person, we have to be patient and we have to put ourselves out there, but in the right settings. People can surprise you, life can surprise you, so just being open is already a huge step. And yeah, let your friends set you up with their friends. Okay, here's a fun question. Getting in touch with my femininity for cheap. Hi Fleur, I'm Kenzie. I was wondering if you have any tips on how I can get more in touch with my femininity without spending too much money. I really want to be more girly this spring and summer and beyond. I always see a lot of women on social media expressing their femme selves in the ways that I want to follow, but often that stuff that they do and buy costs an amount of money that I'm not totally willing to spend. Do you have any suggestions for me? Love the videos, by the way. Keep it up. You're such a babe. Don't ever forget that. Kenzie, I love you, girl. I love this. Let's remember, femininity is not in products. Buying products to be more feminine. What? Why would you do that? You know? Fuck that. Everything related to femininity comes from the inside. And there's no skincare product, no jewelry piece, no standard item that is going to fill that desire. Totally depends on what you mean, of course, and what your definition of that is, and the vision that you have in your brain, what you're talking about. You should have sent me your Pinterest board. I don't know. If you're looking for clothes that are a bit more feminine presenting, Vinted, the thrift store, borrowing stuff from friends, stuff like that could already be a lot cheaper. If you want to express with different types of makeup, drugstore makeup is great. Try a different color mascara. I don't know, put on some eyeshadow if you want to. I don't know. For me, my femininity is most present when I'm ovulating and when I am in nature, when I'm surrounded by other women, where I am being creative, where I'm using all my favorite colors for a project and I'm setting everything up the way that I want to. Like, I feel feminine when I'm making my videos. I don't know, I think just indulging in hobbies and activities that make you feel like you, and fabrics that make you feel luxurious maybe, or more sensual, or yeah, just make you feel good and confident. process change in your life? I can't. And next question. I'm kidding. How can you process change in your life? Like, even happy changes are hard for me because I have to process them, and there are so many changes that I can't keep up with. I feel drained and unmotivated to do anything, and I feel like I just want a few days of staring at the wall or something. I'm a very sensitive person, a highly sensitive person, if you will, and I need processing time as well. I get stressed easily. I will have an upset tummy over the slightest bit of change and stress, so I feel the urge to stare at the wall for a few days. You're not gonna like this answer, but the best thing that you can do is just surrender to the chaos and let it wash over you. I had a conversation with my coworker about this the other day where I was like, I'm having one of those weeks where I'm trying to keep up with everything, but by doing that, I'm failing at everything. And there was a lot of change, and it was a high-paced week, and that's never my forte, you know? And he was also saying, like, it's better to then just fully drop two of those things and give no attention to them, let it crumble, and focus on the other things. If there's a lot of change going on, and it's chaotic, it's the perfect moment to reprioritize and sit yourself down. Not stare at the wall, but stare at a journal and write down what your priorities are and what you want your priorities to be, because those can be different sometimes. And if you feel drained and unmotivated, taking that time, making the time to relax and have the time to stare at the wall, you have to make that time. No one's gonna do it for you. You're gonna have to say no to some things. You might have to cancel some things, but if it's what you need to take care of yourself and your mental health, I would highly recommend doing that. So that's my advice. And just, cry however much you need to. And have a lot of big emotions. It's okay. You've got this. Alright, last question for today. Hey Fleur, your videos bring so much depth and also lightness. Going through a heartbreak right now. Had this vision of a future with the guy. Trying to heal my heart right now, and also this dream for our future we had together. Bit of a rough time. Do you have advice? Love, Elise. Elise, thank you for sharing this, and I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Heartbreak is horrible, and I recognize the pain of trying to heal and letting go of this vision that you had and this future that you saw. My only advice is to take time and to see it as grief. I feel like that reframe of seeing it as grief and processing it like it is a death. I mean, the relationship with the person, but also the vision that you had, it's gone. And that is so hard. And let yourself wallow. Let yourself find distractions. Let yourself go when you are, crying and you feel horrible about it. Like, let it all out, let it go. And then also keep doing the things that you're doing. So, going to the gym, showing up to work, showing up for your friends, and let them take care of you too. Reach out for help if you need more company because you aren't seeing your ex now and there was someone that you used to hang out with a lot more. Lean on your friends and let them help you as well. I think that those are really the only things I have to say about it right now. I've talked about heartbreak before as well, and I feel like it's all gonna come down to that, but when I started viewing heartbreaks as grief, I felt a lot of relief in that, and I could place my emotions a lot better. I also recommend going no contact. you have